My name is Edwis Etienne. Um, I am a financial educator with WealthWave. I've been in the industry for approximately 14 years. Currently hold my 6 and 63 and my health and life assurance license. So we want to dabble into how money works masterclass this morning. Let me share my screen real quick. Share, go. How Money Works Masterclass, the number one financial literacy course. So I want to ask a question. Why don't people talk about money anymore? Right? When people learn how money works, they rethink their finances. But why is it taboo?
When people talk about money, they just don't talk about it positively.
They talk
There's
about
usually a very negative connotation going on with it,
correct, right?
and everybody agrees.
But doesn't the cliche say, the money makes the world go round? So
Mm-hmm.
don't you think people want to talk about money?
Well, they would like to talk about it positively, they just don't.
Yeah, for some reasons they don't. Not really sure why. But as the screen says, when people learn how money works, they rethink their finances. It's a very, very critical issue in this world. So, part one of our course, we're going to go over the power of compound interest, the Rule 72. If you don't know what the Rule 72 is about, you're learning today the time value of money and the $1 million baby. And then part two, we're going over the 7 money milestones. Now, financial illiteracy is the number one economic crisis in the world. Again, let's go back to the question I just proposed. Why don't people talk about money? If the financial illiteracy is the number one economic crisis in the world, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't commute. So we'll see why in a couple of slides why people don't talk about money. Once you learn to read, you'll be forever free, according to Frederick Douglass. Literacy, comp competence, or knowledge in a specified area, that's what literacy is. Financial literacy is understanding how to earn, spend, save, manage, and invest money, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. The same is true about learning how money works. Now, here's some numbers that's very staggering. 44% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency. $9,333 is the average credit card debt and balancing it for balance carrying households who will pay 30 over 37,000 in interest over 30 years. Now, 33% of Americans adults have zero retirement savings. These numbers are very staggering, and it's something that you really got to consider of what's going on in this world. I love this slide right here. This is a slide I love right here. Monthly spending habits by a typical American. Now, we all have this issue, eating out and takeout. The average is $181 per month. Now, recently, or a couple of years ago, not recently, but a couple of years ago, I actually sat down with my fiance and I was first started dating. We sat down and I did a financial needs analysis for her. And I asked her, how much do you spend on eating out? She didn't know. So first thing first, red flag, we have to sit down with a pen and paper and write out how much money she spends on eating out. Granted, she does have two children at the so we sat down, we wrote out all a list of everything that she spends on eating out. That bill came up to $600. I remember it like it was yesterday. I said, babe, this is ridiculous. You have to do something about it. Now, think about it. That $600 could have went from to a emergency fund. It could have helped her with paying a bill. It could have been something where she could have used it to pay a car note. Look at the spending habits that we're doing. Some Americans are doing. It's staggering. How about coffee and lattes? I was living testimony. I was one of them. Going to Dunkin' Donuts, going to Starbucks, getting me a coffee in the morning time before I go to work. Now, how about if you think about it, what if wake up early in the morning and make a cup of coffee? First, you know exactly what you're putting into it. Another thing is cheaper. So that can eliminate the $60. Rideshare, alcohol, events, new clothing, lottery tickets. Now, I skipped those categories because I wanted to get to the last one, subscription services. $237 per month on spending habits monthly on subscription services. That is staggering. If you think about it, how much TV are you watching? Not much. We have Netflix, we have Peacock. Netflix just went up $30. We have Peacock, we have Stars, we have HBO. All those subscriptions that you probably don't remember subscribing to could be eliminated and to save on your monthly spending. These numbers are very staggering to consider and something that you have to look at to decrease your spending habits and your expenses. Those who those stats are troubling, right? Why are we such in bad shape financially as a society? Remember in the beginning of this conversation we had, why aren't people talking about money? Here's one reason why, because they're not teaching us about money. Only 28 out of 50 states require high school students to take a personal finance course to graduate. Just one, a personal finance course to graduate, according to the Council of Economic Education in 2024. Now we have 50 states. So how about the rest of the 200 and the 200, the 21, the 22 states? Aren't they left out? Why? This coming into this course, I just put this slide in my presentation. I went over it this morning, and these numbers don't make sense to me. Teacher about money. Does your state make the grade? How states rank in their efforts to improve financial literacy in the high schools. Now we're in Florida, right? So we're in blue. So 39.2% are making an effort to improve financial literacy in high schools. That number is not enough. Those numbers should be like 100%, all across the board. Let's consider California, which is high in taxes, high in real estate, 23.5%. They're making an effort to improve financial literacy in high schools. So where's the gap? What's going on? How come nobody's talking about money? We have to make a change. Now, I want to go into the education part of our course, and one of them is that we're going to go over, as I mentioned in the beginning, the power of the compound interest. Now, compound interest, if you don't know, refers to the growth potential of money over time by leveraging the magic of compounding, which is interest paid on the sum of deposits plus all interest previously paid. What does that mean? Well, Albert Einstein says compound interest is the greatest mathematical discovery of all time. Now, how does the rate matters, right? So let's look at this chart. Assumes $178 is added each month from age 25 to 67, right? So let's say you put in $178, and you have it at 1%, an average annual interest rate compounded monthly, assuming that you're retirement at age 67. So you at 1%, if you do a 26 to 67, you get at 1%, you get approximately $111,000. At 3%, you get 179,000. At 6%, you get 404,000. At 9%, you're basically a millionaire. So once you see the difference, it's hard to imagine intentionally placing money at 3% or 1%, right? But that happens every day. How much are they giving you at banks? How much are they giving you on CDs? You have to know what kind of interest rates are you putting your money into so you could grow exponentially. Now, time value of money. Follow these three action steps because time is precious. Start now, save regularly, and you have to be patient. You know, I mentioned in the beginning, why aren't people talking about money? So one thing that came to my mind, no one has a relationship with money, right? We know how to earn it. We definitely know how to spend it, but we don't take time to save it. We don't take time to invest it, to put it away for a rainy day. Those two things, we know how to earn it, we know how to spend it, but how about the other things? The saving, the investing, building a legacy, building wealth. We have to be patient with money. It takes time to build wealth. But if you can, you have to start early. Start early can make a significant difference. So, for instance, as you see Sarah, she starts saving at age 22. She set aside $4,000 per year, about 333 a month, for 8 years in a row consistently. But she stopped saving at age 30. Now, opposed to George, where he starts saving at age 30, which is an 8 years difference, he set aside the same amount, $4,000 a year, 333 a month, for 38 years in a row. Now, if you look at the chart below, if you start early, Sarah has a significant amount of savings more than George. Now, he's okay in retirement at 1.3, but look at what Sarah has. And she stopped at 30 at 1.4 million. So what am I saying here? Don't procrastinate. Start early, put something away. Now, does it have to be $333? No. Put $100, $50. Put something away. The earlier you start, the better. Here's another chart that tells you the longer you wait, the more you have to save. If you look at the age 20, to be a millionaire by age 67 with a 9% average annual interest rate, you got to put away about $113. Now let's skip a little bit to 30. You got to put away $282. Now let's skip to 40, where we're middle age there. $731. Now let's skip to 60. See the difference? $8,589 that you have to save for 7 years to get to $1 million. Again, what am I saying here? The earlier you start, the better. Now, the gift of a future. Only 20% of children will receive an inheritance. That number touched me a little bit. 20%, all children should have some type of inheritance to become $1 million baby. Now, what are we saying? Which legacy plan is more realistic for you? Leave each of your children a $1 million inheritance from your personal savings. Okay, that's what most people are doing. Or grow $1 million retirement for each child, starting with a small fraction of that when they are young. Each option could create a strong legacy, but option two is more doable for most parents. Remember what I said when I talked about my fiance and her spending $600 on going out to eat? Well, here's an example. Would you put 2,500 down on a used car and agree to a 250 monthly payment? How much more valuable is your child's future? Meaning that if you take the 250 per month instead of spending on the car, put away for your child. So Hector's strategy was for his son. He put down $2,500, and 250 was added every month for 4 years. So you just do the calculations. So 2,500 plus 250 per month for 4 years, that grows from birth to age 67, assuming at a 6.5 annual interest rate, child would become a millionaire at age 67. See the difference? Instead of spending on something that, that's temporary, this could be longevity. Now, the rule of 72. If you don't learn anything today, this is a rule that you need to keep in your head because it's being used everywhere. So what does Rule 72 say? The Rule 72 is a mathematical concept that approximates the number of years it would take for your money to double. What does that mean? So if I take 72 and divide by any interest rate, you tell me that it'll give me the number of that it would take, how fast my money would double? Yeah, pretty much. So if I take 72 and divide by 1, that's 72 years. Light bulb, think about it. How much are banks giving to you? Banks are only giving not even 1%. In savings accounts, some of them are giving 0.01%. So let's go down a little bit. Let's go to 6%. 12 years for your money to double? Not bad. I got 12 more years in my life that I could do that. Let's go down to 12%. We have 6 years for your money to double. So Ed, are there accounts where you have 12%? Yes, they are. There's definitely vehicles out there that will give you 12% so your money could double as fast as 6 years. If you don't believe me, consult with your financial advisor or financial professional and get with them and have that discussion. Now, Zoe had a little inheritance. She just received $10,000 and she wants her money to grow to become a millionaire by retirement. So let's apply the rule 72. So if you take 1%, let's say I take 1% and put it into a savings account. Well, her money's not going to double until 72 years. That's not what she's looking for. But let's jump to 9%. That money's double 6 times every 8 years. Now look at 12%. Now that's what she's talking about. She needs that $1 million, right? So at 12% is at 2.5 million. How about credit cards? Now this is where I use the rule 72, and I'm getting kind of frustrated with this. So don't you think banks offer credit cards at 25, 29%. Do you think they're using the same rule that I just taught you about? So you take 72 divided by 22.44%. It would take their money to double 3.2 years. Hmm. Now, that's only one customer. How about they have millions of customers? See how fast their money is doubling? Now, let's get to the 7 money milestones. I just gave you a financial education, so check on financial education for your money milestones. But how about the other things that we need to talk about in terms of money? Proper protection. Protect against loss of income, protect against loss of savings. Emergency funds. They say approximately you're supposed to save about 3 to 6 months of your income. Life happens, so you have to prepare for unexpected expenses. Car breaks down, washing machine, refrigerator. And you save about 3 to 6 months on average. I'll say a year because things are always increasing, especially in inflation and taxes. Debt management. Remember, I said in the beginning, change your spending habits. Get rid of those going out to eats all the time. Those subscriptions. We got to strive to eliminate the debt. Cash flow. Everybody needs some cash flow, no matter who you are, because everything's always rising, everything's always increasing. Earn additional income, manage your expenses, decrease your expenses. Building wealth. Avoid the impact of taxes, losses, and inflation. Accumulate the growth assets for the future. And when you build the wealth, you got to protect it. A lot of us don't have that in our portfolio. Create a will, guard your legacy. There's celebrities out there that have passed away recently, and we're gonna go through that. That never have a will, they never have a trust. These are important things that we have to discuss. Again, financial education. If you haven't received it, make sure you get our How Money Works book. Stop being a sucker. But just by just attending this class, you'll get a free one. And also work with a financial professional to provide continuing education, guidance, and resources to help you make decisions about your money and your future. Don't go with this trip alone. Make sure you have find a professional to guide you to the right path. Public protection, life insurance. Whenever we mention about life insurance, people run. Why? It's something that we all need and have underneath our belts. Stop doing the GoFundMe. That's not life insurance. That's passing the hat around. How about the people that you love? Your family? If something happens to you, don't you want to protect them? A lot of people underestimate how much life insurance they need. They have a tendency to overestimate how much life insurance will cost. Life insurance is not expensive. If you start early, it's really cheap. Only 59% of Americans have life insurance, and about half of those are underinsured, according to insure.com. Well, this is a good question to have to ask. How much life insurance do I need? Well, we have a formula, a real simple formula. The general rule of thumb of how much life insurance you have is 10 times your annual income. So how does that compute? So if you take 50,000, if you making $50,000 a year and you times it by 10, that's $500,000. That's about how much life insurance you need to cover your mortgage, your debts, your education expenses, should you have children. Those are the things that need to be covered just in case something happens to you. Here are the factors to consider to the factors you'll consider could include your age, your debts, as I mentioned, your income, financial situation, your health, the number of dependents you have, and the role you have if you have a business. What type of life insurance do I need? Well, there's two types. There's term and there's permanent. And we will go into what these mean. So if you look at this final X wave, where are you in life on this X wave? Do you have more responsibility? Do you have less responsibility? Do you have a little bit of wealth? Do you have more wealth? So depending on where you are on the X curve depends on what kind of life insurance you need. If you have less wealth and more responsibilities, a home, getting your children into college, getting married, you're probably going to need term insurance. Now we have products out there where you could convert into a permanent insurance when you get more into the less responsibility and more wealth. Most people don't know about that, but they always think about just term and permanent or whole life. So the life insurance falls into two basic categories, like as I said, temporary and permanent. Here's what does temporary life insurance mean? Exactly what it is. It's a term life insurance. Provides protection for a specified period of time, like 10, 20, or 30 years. You start the policy at a certain age, and then you end the term as certain term. It is the most affordable life insurance available because it provides one core feature, a death benefit, and because it expires after the term. Now here's permanent life insurance. Like term, it provides a death benefit, but also is designed to keep for life, not just a term. Think about permanent life insurance like lifelong strategy that can protect your family today, secure your wealth in the future, and provide your heirs after you're gone. Now, if you look at the chart, it also has a couple of features. Also have long-term care protection, supplemental tax-free retirement income, and tax-free death benefit for your heirs. These are good things to have in permanent life insurance, but also it depends on where you are in life. Here are the benefits. Zero market risk, as I said, with the supplemental tax-free retirement income, tax-free legacy, tax-free growth, tax-free income, and long-term care. I like those three, tax-free. Uncle Sam doesn't have to come to you or knock on your door with his hand out. With permanent life insurance, you have the option for tax-free growth and tax-free income and tax-free legacy. So just in case something happens to you, your heirs don't have to worry about paying these taxes. Long-term care insurance. 70% of people age 65 and over will need some type of long-term care services and support in their remaining years. 8% of people over age 55 have purchased long-term. 8% have long-term care policies. Now, as I mentioned before, there is a feature on permanent life insurance where you can have a long-term care rider where you don't have to dish out a lot of money for long-term care insurance. Long-term care insurance alone, it's a lot of money, and we're going to look at it here. The average long-term care need, if than more than 1 year, is 3.9 years. How would anybody afford such a massive annual expense? Look at these numbers. Long-term care type, if you have an adult daycare, healthcare, is $18,000 annually. Assisted living with just one bedroom is $48,000. Home health aid services is $50,000. You see where I'm going with this? So if we have permanent life insurance with the long-term care rider, or you're paying a fraction of what it really is, you'll be in good shape. So again, talk to your financial professional to get the information that you need to guide you in the right direction. Which long-term care insurance option will you purchase? The standalone one that I just mentioned, that costs about $50,000 average, or a rider to a permanent life insurance policy. It's cheaper that way on option two. Emergency fund. I love this part right here. Save about 3 to 6 months of income, prepare for unexpected expenses. As I said, life happens. It's recommended to have 3 to 6 months. I say a year. Say a whole year of your income saved because things are getting expensive, right? If you have an annual income of 30,000, save about 7,500. Now, you say, Ed, all right, easier said than done. How do you do that? Well, put money away. Now, am I talking about like $1,000 away or $500 away? No. Put something away. $10, $5, $20 every check and do it consistently. You'll see how much that'll add up. So, two rules of an emergency fund. Rule one, that's what it's called. It's an emergency fund. Only use it for emergencies. Don't use it to go to a spa. Don't use it to shop or don't use it to splurge. Use it only for emergencies. It doesn't matter if it sits in a checking account, saving account. If it sits in a savings account, make sure you have a high yield interest rate on the savings account. Money could grow. But if you need emergency fund to fix a car, replace a fridge, take that money and spend it. That's what it's for. It's for the emergency. Now, here's the rule. Once you use it, make sure you put it back. Now, do you have to put everything back? No. So let's say you have an emergency for $500. Let's say in your emergency fund you had 1,200 and you took out 500. That's 700 left in your emergency fund. That 500 that you took out, put something back, $50, $25, $100, whatever you could afford to get back to your 1,200. Debt management, spending habits. Talked about it before, that's spending habits. We love to earn money, we love to spend it, but we have to strive to eliminate it. Eliminate debt. 5 tips to eliminate and stay out of debt. Know what you owe. That's a big one. We know how to bring it in, but how much are you spending? How much are you getting out? How much are you going out the door? If you don't know, take a pen, take a pad, use an Excel spreadsheet. We have plenty of apps on this phone that you could use to see how much money you dishing out. No more late payments. Being delinquent on your expenses is crucial on your credit report. That's something we have to consider and we have to eliminate. Target one debt at a time. What does that mean, Ed? So if you have three credit cards and one credit card is 30% interest rate, the other is 25, the other one is 20. Tackle the credit card that has the highest interest rate. Because those interest rates are a killer. Sometimes you don't have to use a credit card and they still charge you the interest, which is absurd. But target one debt at a time, meaning that put more on that interest rate credit card and pay the minimums on the other ones until that high interest rate credit card is eliminated, is done, paid off. They go to the next one and put more on the next one. There goes those subscriptions again. Stop charging and cancel unused subscriptions. How much TV are you watching? Think about it. Netflix just was at $11 before a couple of years ago. Now they're at $30. I don't want to bash Netflix, but there's not a lot to watch on Netflix. You watching one or two shows, maybe? God forbid you finish the series. Now you gotta find to watch something else. Stop those unused subscriptions. I sat down with my fiance, we went through it one time, and the bill was like $100. I was like, I'm not watching all these shows. We're not watching all these shows. We gotta get rid of them. Now we narrowed it down. It's about 15 bucks, 20 bucks. Get rid of those subscriptions because sometimes they double charge you. Because remember, it's automatic. So you're not going into the system and paying the bill. It comes out of your checking account. That's how they get you. So stop those unused subscriptions and you see how much you'll save. And also refinance your mortgage. Talk to your representative at your bank to see how you can refinance your mortgage should you have a house. And know what you owe. The top three credit report companies provide free credit report. Annualcreditreport.com. They give you all free each year. You only can do it once. You only can pull it out once. But see what's on your credit report. Remember, we live in a society or in a country where there's a lot of fraud. People are using other people's credits, and you probably don't even know about it. And then it slams your credit report. Know what you owe. Pull these credit reports. We have TransUnion, we have Experian, we have Equifax. We also have Credit Karma. Credit Karma actually shows, we only show TransUnion and I think Equifax. Use that. And it's right on your phone. Sometimes they give you notifications if something's fraudulent on your credit report. These are things that we all need to know that will help us in the long run. If you have something, find something that's inaccurate on your credit report, use the dispute function. All three of them have it. I use it several times. There was times that there were times where I had credit stuff on my credit report that wasn't supposed to be on my credit anymore. Got to use a dispute so they can remove it and improve your credit, and it has improved my credit. Sometimes there's names. They'll put Eddie, Eddie. That's some people used to call me that. Now, no, that's not my name. Get it off. And the process is not hard. It'll take you an hour, maybe, just to see what's on your credit report. But these are something that it will help you in the long run if you want to buy a car, if you want to buy a home. Now, these days, if you want to buy insurance, car insurance, they check your credit report. If you want to get a job, they check your credit report. All the things are factors. Increase cash flow. Earn additional income. Everybody needs to earn additional income. Inflation is getting crazy. Taxes are going high. Our administration right now is off the bonkers. We don't know what's going to happen, but we need to increase our cash flow. 4 tips to increase cash flow quickly. Create a written game plan and stick to a budget. Be consistent with it. Focus on a system to spend less than you earn by weighing income versus expenses and needs versus wants. Those unused subscriptions, those are wants, those are not needs. Shave spending on car and home insurance. Consider a higher deductible to get a lower premium. This is just balancing out and adjusting what we have now. Reposition your savings. Instead of putting in a savings account that has 1%, there are high yield interest rate savings accounts now. You'll probably get 3-4% instead of 0.1% on savings. And drop your private mortgage insurance. Consult with your financial professional to see how you could drop your mortgage insurance so you can refinance without any unnecessary costs. Now, I want to take a moment here. You have an opportunity here at WealthWave where you become your own boss. We are living in a side gig society now. Everybody has a side gig. The 9 to 5 is not cutting it. We need more. If you have a 9 to 5, it's just enough for you to pay your bills. How about vacation? How about retirement? How about building a legacy? The 9 to 5 is to pay bills. The 6 to 10 is to build your legacy. Those side gigs. I have a side gig. I make t-shirts. I design t-shirts. That's my side gig. What other sides can you do? Walk a pet, mow a lawn. We all have God-gifted talents. Use them. Every one of us have it. Use your God-gifted talents and create a gig, create a business. That's one of the best ways to earn extra income. Build wealth. Avoid the impact of taxes, losses, and inflation. Accumulate and grow assets for the future. Now, there are three threats to building wealth. One threat, we all part of that nation. Procrastination. We all procrastinate. But that is a threat to building wealth. Another one is inflation. Now, inflation has been eased up a bit, but when our administration came, that first new administration came in, it was kind of sketchy. Eggs was at $10 for a dozen. I was about to go outside and get a chicken coop. Gas was at $3.50. We have to watch inflation. Right now, inflation is at 2.8, maybe 3% on average. Taxes. Taxes go up every year. Losses, or shall I say debt. Debt is another threat to building wealth. We have to eliminate debt. We just went through it. Those four threats are our enemies of building wealth. The impact of inflation. Inflation is basically the tax over time, or shall I say tax of time. The inflation rate is an average at 2.8, as I mentioned, for the last 100 years. So let's apply the rule 72, what we just learned. So you take 72 divided by the average inflation rate, it gives you the years until the cost of goods doubles. So you're telling me, on average, in 25.7 years, the cost of goods would double. Hence why we need more income. Things are always increasing. It's not going to stop. Look at this. As I said, gas, airline fares, used cars, eggs, meat, poultry, and fish. I had a discussion with my son last night. He said, I have a request for dinner for today. I was like, what do you want to eat? Salmon. I said, oh, not salmon. Salmon used to be like $19 for a nice size salmon. Now you go to the stores, it's $30. What happened? What kind of salmon is this? This is super salmon? It's crazy how food has increased. Milk. I remember when milk was like $1 and change for a half a gallon. Now you talking about $4 or $5 for milk. Listen, man, I'm about to have a farm outside, have my eggs, have my chicken coop, have my little cow outside, and be straight. This is crazy how everything has increased. And this is from 2022 to 2021. Electricity. Oh, kill me now. Electricity is crazy. I'll tell you a perfect story. I came here from New York in September. Got my bill for electricity. It said $150. I said, bet, perfect. We could rock with this. Then next month, it was like $200. I said, okay, damn. We must be using a lot of electricity. Then went to 300. I said, oh, turn off the lights. This month is at 425. I said, what happened? I know it gets warm out here. The AC has to be running, but wow. What are they doing to us? It's going crazy right now. How electricity and all these other stuff are going up. Me and my fiance sat down and she was reading some comments from other people about electricity. This one lady, her electricity was at $900 and she lived by herself. Nah, they have her property glitched. It has to be. What are they doing to us, man? These numbers are staggering. And it's not no fluff numbers. These are real numbers. Coffee, forget it. I'm not drinking coffee no more. But yet, they don't want to pay us if you have a 9 to 5. This is why I said we need extra income to survive. The average hourly earn rates has dropped to 2.6%. Something's not right. As I proposed in the beginning of our conversation, why isn't anybody talking about money? Look at these numbers. It just doesn't make sense. The impact of losses. Suppose you lose 50% one year and earn 50% the next year. Okay. If you lose 50% of $10,000, you now have $5,000. What is 50% of 5,000? Not a lot. But doesn't this look familiar? What happened in 2018? Didn't the market dip and people lost a lot of money that they didn't know about because it was in a 401k and nobody talked to them about it? Why isn't anybody talking about money? A 50% gain only gets you back to 7,500. Now, 100% gain is required to get back to your 10,000 after a 50% loss. So you got to double of what you lost to get back to what you originally started with. So three strategies to protect against the impact of losses. Reduce the risk of losses, diversify your portfolio, and utilize financial vehicles. Don't procrastinate. Don't be part of that nation. Talk to your financial professional about ways to reduce or remove the impact of losses from your strategy. Impact of taxes. Understand how financial vehicles are taxed differently can help you make strategic decisions that you can pay off down the road. The tax strategy can determine how much money you keep in retirement, pay to the government, and leave for your children. Now, here are 3 ways you can be taxed. Or should I say, let me backtrack a little bit. What would you prefer? Be taxed on the seed or be taxed on your harvest? Now, there's 3 ways that you can be taxed. Tax now, tax later, or tax never. Tax now taxes are paid on interest, earnings, and dividends every single year. Tax later, taxes are paid when you start taking distribution out in retirement. So the money grows tax deferred. It grows without being taxed, but when you take money out, that's when you're being taxed. Or tax never, which everybody should be looking into. Taxes are not allowed owned on earnings and distribution. Now, here are some tax various savings and investment accounts. The taxable accounts, investments made from business incomes or employment salary wages that have already been taxed. Taxes are paid annually on interest dividends earned unless held in qualified retirement plans. Qualified retirement plans, 401ks, IRAs, those are pre-tax dollars with no taxes to pay on principal or growth until retirement, until you take money out. How about annuities? Except for qualified retirement plans, money invested in annuities will have already been taxed. Growth is tax deferred, but again, you have to pay taxes on distribution. Protect your wealth. Create a will. This is a critical step in the 7 money milestones. Why? People build wealth, they earn it, they gain it, of course, they spend it. But how about protecting your wealth, creating a will, guard your legacy? Now, this is very sad. These two people I actually looked up to growing up. Prince and Aretha Franklin. Prince passed away in 2016. Aretha passed away in 2018. Now, Prince had an estate at 150 million. Aretha Franklin had an estate value of 80 million. And neither one had an estate plan. Now, what does that do with their families? It divides them, right? Because not everybody's fighting over their estate. You hear it all over the news. Who else is out there that doesn't have an estate plan? That's famous. That's a celebrity. Who else out there that's not famous? That's just getting $80 million that doesn't have a estate plan. Now look at that number in the bottom. 64% of Americans don't have a will. Whew. That's heavy. There are 4 documents that you need in your estate plan. They should be included. Your will, financial power of attorney, advanced healthcare directive or living will, or HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. So let's go down all of them. What is the will? It identifies the guardian of your minor and special needs children who will carry out your wishes and how your property will be distributed. Financial power of attorney identifies who will control your affairs, like managing bills, insurance, taxes, or selling property if you're not able to do so. Life happens. If you're out there and God forbid something happens to you and you're disabled and you're not able to handle those things, you should have a financial power of attorney to handle your affairs. Advanced healthcare directive or living will identifies a person to make your healthcare decisions if you're not able to do so. and states what medical treatment you wish to receive if you're able to choose one, unable to choose one. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act release permits your healthcare agent to access your medical records, insurance information to assist in your treatment. These are all 4 documents that should be in your estate plan. Now, estate plan, think about estate planning will be too expensive or time consuming. Think again. That you should consider the cost to your loved ones down the road. The truth is, there are options for almost every budget. Again, talk to your financial professional to guide you to the proper direction. And you should get this milestone checked off as soon as possible. Now, we have complete the course of How Money Works Masterclass. Your next step here is to complete your evaluation form, which I'm going to show you in the next slide. Schedule a personal review. Now, I want to stop here for a minute. Your time is as valuable as our time. If you set a schedule, a time to sit down with a financial professional, keep your appointment. Or make sure that if something happens, like I said, life happens, make sure you reschedule to make an appointment and sit down with a financial professional. Your time is as valuable as our time. And also read the book. How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. Oh, sorry. Upside down. Read the book. And I'm going to send also a CNBC article that explains the Rule of 72 and how much banks are offering in your checking or savings account. So that concludes our masterclass. Please copy the class evaluation form by scanning it through the QR code or just write down or take a screenshot, shall I say, of the URL. If you need any assistance, my number is on the bottom. Please give me a call, 516-712-5816, and also edris.etienne@wealthwave.com. Thank you, everyone. Should everyone have any questions before I exit?
No, I think you did an excellent job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, that concludes my time here. If you have any questions, again, here's my contact information. Don't forget to fill out the evaluation form and get back to me. All right? Have a blessed day, everybody.